We're here at OpenStack Summit, Sydney, and we're at the first day, and the show floor has not quite opened yet. I think they've just finished the keynotes with Jonathan Bryce and his guest. And in just a second, we're going to be roaming the show floor and hopefully chatting with some of our neighbors about what they're here and what their message is here at OpenStack Summit so that you can kind of get a feel for what's going on here. Hello. Hi, I'm Denise Bain.
Alex Tarpinian.
Hi, it's very nice to meet you. And we're at Host-Telecom across the way. We're your neighbors. And we're videoing all week because we want to tell people what's going on at the summit, not just what we know, because we know what our messaging is, but we're curious to know what you guys are doing.
Sure. Well, we have several folks that work in open source and developer advocacy. So we have folks that are doing Kubernetes as well as OpenStack, Docker, open source development, Cloud Foundry, and we have a whole program around developer advocacy where we're trying to help developers with tooling and things to get started quickly. We also have a lot of our folks from the systems side of the business. So,
Andrew. Yep.
Andrew,
so I'm part of the systems group, and I interact purely on a storage basis. So interacting with OpenStack and integrating IBM storage systems, or even our compute, our power and mainframe platforms into OpenStack environments.
Okay, so you're not necessarily using like OpenStack storage, but you're integrating IBM solutions into an OpenStack environment?
Drivers and integration for our physical products into an OpenStack environment, correct, yes.
Excellent. So I'm just curious, everybody's been blah, 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 OpenStack, OpenStack, OpenStack for the last several years, but now we're really hearing more about open source. And I am curious to know how you see that playing out at IBM.
Well, we've been doing open source for more than 20 some years because we started with Linux. So everything we do is really open source based. So OpenStack is one of the keys, but there's, when you even look back to where we did WebSphere, the key sorry, not used to having a microphone stuck in my face, right? But the key open source technologies and everything we do, they're core. So, although we have lots of proprietary software, everything is based on open source. So I have a whole team that's completely focused on doing open source development. We work across IBM, across all of our products to help them whenever we need to collaborate in the communities, help bring things into the communities that are beneficial to everyone. We're always looking for win-win situations, whether it's on our product side or things we do in the community. So for IBM, open source is where it kind of all starts. So that's and it's a great deal of fun working in the open because you're not just trying to solve problems by yourself. You've got lots of people to help you, and we can get so much more done. So that's why it's important to us.
Well, thank you so much, Alexander. Thank you, too. And please come over and talk to us and drop your business card, and maybe you get a helicopter ride around the Sydney Harbor and along the coast before the day is through. Yeah, you might want to do that. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. And we'll be back without the microphone sometimes. All right. Thanks. Hello, Souza gentlemen.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
How do you know we're gentlemen?
I'm just the benefit of the doubt. Because, Souza can be a little shady sometimes. I don't know. I'm kidding. I love Souza. I worked with Souza back in HP when we were putting Souza 2.6 on Itanium servers. So I go back with you guys a long way. I'm now with Host-Telecom, and we're just sort of wandering around and chatting with our neighbors because we are trying to give our viewers a feel of what's going on at the summit and what other folks have to say about why they're here.
Okay.
So would either of you care to kind of give me a rundown on what Souza is up to these days?
Peter is our chief strategist for the Asia-Pacific region. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to him because he's an appointed spokesperson.
Okay.
Much better than I am.
Okay, he's punting. We're going over here.
Let me stand up. I can't sit and talk at the same time, believe it or not.
Yeah. That's a special skill.
I can't. Well, I can't. I can't talk without moving my hands either. I must have some Italian in my heritage.
You don't look all that Italian, but you might. You never know.
So what are we doing? Well, we're here at OpenStack Summit. Like we are every year. We've been a platinum sponsor of OpenStack since it started, basically, and it's a cornerstone of what we do as a company, right? So a lot of people know Souza as a Linux company. We've been doing it for 25 years, but really now we're doing software-based infrastructure. So everything that sits between the hardware and where your application is, that's the space where we have a lot of offerings these days. And so we're hoping to show people both, the old stuff and also some of the new stuff.
And how much of that infrastructure that's between the hardware and somebody running the app in a production environment, how much is that OpenStack based and how much of it is maybe open source but not necessarily OpenStack? We're
the open source company.
You are.
But OpenStack is obviously a core foundation of that. So Linux operating system, OpenStack to spread out to multiple nodes, and then you can place your workloads on top of that, whether it's based on containers or bare metal or whatever it happens to be.
Okay. So if somebody were doing Docker and Kubernetes, how do you accommodate that?
So we ship Magnum as part of our OpenStack distribution, and Magnum lets you deploy containers directly onto the system just using the normal point-and-click interface. Perfect. So you can spread out really easily.
Do you have anything else you'd like to share with everybody before we move on to our next victims?
Well, if you're showing this during the event, come on down. We've got hopefully we'll have lots of good giveawaways once the shipping container gets through customs.
Are you going to save one for me?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, you're just over there.
We're just over there, so we will be back.
There will be geekos.
Okay, good. Because I gave my last gecko away, and it was a big one. It was like 12 gecko. Sorry, Geeko. I gave my last gecko away a long time ago, and it was a huge one, and I've missed it ever since I gave it away.
Well, if you're nice to Kent, he might be able to sort you out.
I think that I can. I think I can work that out.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Hello, sir. We're your neighbors at Host-Telecom, and we're also a sponsor. And we're wandering the show floor to see if people would like to talk to us about what they're doing here at OpenStack and kind of what their involvement with the community is and what they're working on.
Sure.
All right. So we're with Ubuntu, and your name is?
My name is Marco Ceppi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
And what would you like to tell us about what Ubuntu is doing?
Sure. So I guess a lot of people know us, Canonical, as the company behind Ubuntu. We build an operating system that's pretty highly favored in the cloud. From OpenStack surveys, we've traditionally been the top OS choice for people building production-grade OpenStack clouds. We also have a suite of tooling that help enable people who are operating clouds and building workloads on top of clouds and on top of bare metal, on top of Ubuntu, to make that more streamlined. So whether it's building OpenStack clouds themselves on Ubuntu with our tooling or with our packaging, or starting to look at that kind of next-generation infrastructure, be it Kubernetes, containers, etc. A lot of people are doing this stuff on Ubuntu, so we're here to show support for the community in OpenStack, as well as help to show kind of the interesting things that people are doing and pioneering on Ubuntu.
Okay, and I'm curious because everybody that I knew that was running Linux eventually started running Ubuntu on their personal computers. Yeah, because if you were so not cool if you weren't using Ubuntu. But what would you say in the enterprise? What part would you say Ubuntu plays in the enterprise?
So when a lot of enterprises today, they traditionally started out with more enterprise-style Linuxes, and that was a very tractable choice for them in the 90s. Today, a lot of enterprises are seeing a shift in focus to the cloud, and because of that, those developers and those users that started using Ubuntu and Linux on their laptops have taken that into the cloud as well. So when we look at public cloud usage as well, just like with OpenStack and people building production-grade OpenStacks, well over 3/4 of the major cloud providers, their Linux usage is Ubuntu. And so when enterprises are looking for that next step into the cloud, they're looking for us as thought leaders in that space to help them bridge that gap and bring those workloads into that kind of cloud-like atmosphere, whether public or private.
Okay, and I'm curious how you work or don't work with VMware or help someone maybe in a more of an open source direction rather than a more proprietary system.
Yeah, that's a great question. Ultimately, when we look at people using Ubuntu, we don't try to dictate a philosophy on them. We're looking to support them where they're running it. So we have a lot of people that run not just OpenStack internally and workloads on OpenStack on Ubuntu, but they may have things like VMware also on premise, and we're happy to support them if they want to run their workloads on Ubuntu, on VMware using Ubuntu as well. So we really like to make it so that we can meet the customers and the users where they are. And so from that perspective, we don't dictate philosophy saying, no, we won't support VMware or we won't support potentially a proprietary solution. It's really not up to us to to really push on our viewpoints where customers have reasons for doing things, either traditional reasons that they've been carrying along with them or economical reasons why they made choices. But ultimately, we're here to support our customers anywhere they happen to run.
And that's the open source way, right?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, it's one viewpoint of the open source way. It's maybe not as aggressively copyleft as you might see, but we're all about the choice and opinion.
Yeah, and customers typically don't want just one thing. They usually have something that they want customized, or it's some sort of legacy software, and they rely on it.
Absolutely, and we still see today a lot of customers running like mainframes and Z-series hardware.
I know, it's kind of hard to believe, but you do see it, and it's a workhorse. It works for them. And
it works for them and their workloads, and in that respect, we're happy to run Ubuntu on Z-series mainframe as well to support them in their efforts, bridging that gap between this cloud world and this very serious, very staunch, classic mainframe, kind of very classic legacy-like hardware and approach to things.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for spending the time talking with us this morning, and we'll be back around later.
Great. I look forward to it.
And come over and visit us at our Host-telecom.com booth, and you can actually enter your business card to potentially win a free helicopter ride with our CEO, Pasha Chernobrov.
That sounds amazing.
Okay. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Denise. I'm with Host-Telecom. We're also sponsoring this, and we're just stopping to talk to our neighbors about what they're doing here and kind of what their take on things are. And would you like to speak with us for a moment? There's a lot of punting going on with this group. All right. So, Sam, I'm just curious about vScaler and what you guys are, what kind of messaging you're sending out here at OpenStack Summit.
Yeah, so we provide a OpenStack in a box appliance, so everything you need to get your OpenStack project off the ground. So we have our own distribution of OpenStack, which is recognised by the community as a registered version. And we built that into an appliance that allows you to spin up different services within OpenStack, so HPC on-demand capability, so you can spin up a cluster from the ground up with all the cluster management services, parallel file system in there, and all your different node types, and manage that through one interface. We also have an artificial intelligence platform as well, so again you can spin up an artificial intelligence cluster with the neural networks in there as well, so you can choose whether you use Caffe, Torch, Theano, all those things, TensorFlow.
And I'm curious, is the market for vScaler, would you say it's more of an enterprise or more of an SMB, or just anybody who wants an out-of-the-box solution?
That's it, yeah. Anybody who's looking to use OpenStack commercially. So, yeah, if you have a requirement where you want to manage your infrastructure privately through using OpenStack, vScaler is that product.
Excellent. Thanks for spending a couple of minutes with us, and I'm glad one of you was willing to talk to us. Anyway, and so NFV is a big part of what you're enabling with your solutions.
Yes, it is, and it is specifically for the telecom solutions, telecom sector, telecom customers, dedicated to them.
And NFV isn't new, but it's not terribly old either. How long would you say you've been incorporating NFV into your solutions?
So it's difficult to say for how long, but it's quite some time, and I'm sure the solution is working well. I guess Fukuda-san can help you better. So if you want, I can take his help if you want to know the exact number of years.
Okay.
Fukuda-san, for how long have we been using NFV with our solutions?
Approximately 5 or 6 years.
So 5 or 6 years with NFV. Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you taking time to talk with us and hope you come visit us on the other side, Host-telecom.com, and we'll get you on OpenStack on bare metal, even though that may not be your cup of tea.
No worries.
Okay, thanks. Thanks a lot. Who have we got here? NetApp. NetApp's always fun. Hello? Do you have a moment? I'm Denise. I'm from Host-telecom, and we have a booth across the way.
Great.
And we're doing a webcast with our visitors, and we were walking around the show floor talking to other people about what they're providing and what their interest in OpenStack is, and wanted to know if you wanted to tell us what NetApp's up to and just anything you want to tell us.
Sure, just briefly, NetApp, of course, has been a long-time contributor to a number of projects within OpenStack, primarily the storage-related ones, Manila, Cinder. Of course, we have an object-based platform that we support Storage Grid. So that's what we're here for. We provide simple API access storage platform for OpenStack. We have a presence in, I think, 6 of the top 8 super users that are using OpenStack.
That's got to be pretty exciting. I mean,
very exciting.
Do you tell people that all the time about how?
All the time.
And why wouldn't you?
All the time, of course. My area of interest and expertise is in the telco space. I'm part of the Network Functions Virtualization Special Interest Group at NetApp.
We were just talking to some NFV folks behind you. So I don't know how much, if you want to share a little more detail about what you do with NFV.
Yeah, so of course NFV is a virtualized network platform, but what a lot of people don't understand and forget is that there's often a lot of storage involved with supporting an NFV platform, especially at scale. Very likely you're going to have a geographically distributed set of platforms that all of which are going to require some level of data management. And some of this data management is going to support IoT, for instance. You may have a different velocity and profile of users from automotive telematics to healthcare to even just general run-of-the-mill network applications for which you're going to have a way to sort of aggregate and move that storage from its geographically distant NFV pod to a local data center.
Okay.
And of course, we have a number of enterprise storage platform tools to do exactly that.
Okay. Well, it's good to see you here at OpenStack Summit. I really appreciate you taking a couple moments to talk with us, and come drop your card at our table and maybe get a free helicopter ride around Sydney and the coast, unless that scares you.
It does scare me, but I'll give it a go.
I saw that little free song. I was like, maybe he doesn't want a helicopter ride.
Is this how it ends? Really? Okay.
And I totally could have avoided it. All right. Thank you. All right, let's go talk to the wackos at Red Hat, and I say that with affection because I have so many friends that work at Red Hat. Tell us what you're doing at Red Hat, specifically your OpenStack activity, and why you find it important to be at OpenStack Summit and the messaging that you're trying to send.
Okay, I'll do my best. I'm a technical marketing manager for the OpenStack product at Red Hat, and right now Red Hat is the leading distribution in OpenStack. So we have taken our open source model of support and subscription and put that through we work with the upstream community and the OpenStack community to make sure that OpenStack is delivered in a way that is usable for enterprise at production level. So we enable that through our upstream and subscription models that provide support and upgrade and access to the communities and that kind of stuff. We provide an enterprise product with Red Hat OpenStack platform that's backed by an upstream, which you can see over there, which is called RDO. So customers and users can see it at many different levels. That's sort of the main focus of where we're doing. So we're really proud to be part of the OpenStack Summit because it allows us to share that message of how we can take this upstream innovation and community and make it a usable and accessible product for pretty much anyone, from telcos to banks to even mom and pop type shops, to be able to use OpenStack.
Okay, great. And is there anything specific any idea of anything you'd like to say around Docker or Kubernetes as you may work with them as well?
Yeah, well, specifically around the container space, we're excited that we integrate our OpenShift product quite easily onto OpenStack, so you can run a world-class container platform directly on OpenStack without any real extra hassle, or we can demo it, we can show it. It's in production workloads now. So we're really excited to be part of that containerized space and to allow the use of easily scale out platform underneath your container deployments.
And I'm just curious, how do you see migration to OpenStack? Like, if there are any processes around that with Red Hat, and if there are, like, if you were, say, maybe moving from a VMware environment to an OpenStack environment that might provide a little more scalability and a little less expense.
Yeah, sure. Well, of course, with OpenStack, I mean, you gain a massive scale. So when you're in more traditional virtualization, you have less access to the APIs and the ability to scale out. We offer a more traditional virtualization product in Red Hat Enterprise Virtualization, so we have a nice migration place to that. But for people looking to move from a more traditional virtualization space into the sort of scalable world of OpenStack, we have the OpenStack product is perfect for that. The Red Hat OpenStack platform is perfect for that, as it does allow the easy access to the APIs and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. So
we're all kind of headed down the path to broadening the OpenStack cloud user base.
Yeah, I think so. And I think as the product gets easier to install, I mean, we're really proud of Red Hat OpenStack Platform Director. That makes installation, upgrades, scale so much easier. And it's all upstream. It's all open with OOO. That, I think, makes OpenStack much more accessible. And then as we start to layer on containers and use containers in the service space and the control plane, as everyone is doing, it's really exciting, and people will find that it's a very nice blended product that an ecosystem that continues to keep its roots upstream while providing that enterprise level of support.
Okay. Thank you very much for meeting with us, and we will see you around. Stop by the table.
We're just around there.
Yeah, and we're having a drawing for a helicopter ride around the Sydney Harbor, so make sure to bring your card by.
All right.
Thanks.
No worries. Thank you.
Bye. All right, let's go next door to ZTE, leading 5G innovations, and see if anybody wants to talk. I notice that you are the leading player in NFV and SDN.
Yes,
and
right.
Can I ask you a few questions about what you do in that space?
Yeah. Actually, ZTE. So we are from ZTE Corporation. Actually, ZTE is leading NFV and SDN vendor in the industries, and also we are the gold member of the OpenStack communities. So, so I don't want to do too much advertisement here. Actually, for this summit, so the main topic today is that we released the OpenStack release on the P version. You know, the P version is the latest release by the community on the September. Right. So I think we are the first in industry who released the commercial OpenStack release on P version. So tomorrow I think we will have a separate session to introduce ZTE tax release. Tax is ZTE product for the OpenStack. Tulip Elastic Computer System. The 6.0 is ZTE based on P version commercial product. So actually, I know I think a lot of vendor here, OpenStack vendor here, OpenStack player here. Actually, ZTE, we are not only focused on the IT area, but we also focus on the CT area. I think you can see from our advertisement here, we have whatever Telefonica, China Mobile, China Unicom, or China Telecom is all our customers. So hopefully today we can have a good show here.
Yeah.
So.